G'day world, Chris Hogan coming to you live from YP Gold Coast event here held at Isla Capri on the Gold Coast, and I have with me one of the panellists from today, Eden Shirley. I'm sure you've seen him before on the Gold Coast.
Hey guys.
Eden, we're just talking about what some of the challenges are on the GC or just in business at the moment, and I guess maybe to help people at home feel a little bit more comfortable with the position they're in. Do you want to share between us what those challenges are and basically make them feel like they're not so alone?
Yeah.
How's business?
Yeah, business is good, but I think all businesses are facing challenges. I mean, I find it's the everyday stuff that's increasingly getting more difficult. Acquiring customers, generating revenue, even processing the service or product that you provide. I mean, we've got so many more new challenges, whether it's travel or logistics, and I'm not going to, tick off the usual suspects that are being talked about at the moment, but just generally in business, whether you're, an industry or a commerce, it's so much more difficult, I think gone are the days where brand loyalty, that's probably the first big one that I think fundamentally changed the architecture of success and failure. I think gone are, accessibility of your product. Like, unless it's really accessible online now, it's very difficult to succeed. I mean, how many retail rents and commercial rents do you see now that are for lease or of business owners that are struggling? And then, marketing. I mean, you're a marketing guy. It's so fragmented. How do you find your niche customer? And it's not even niche. You can't talk to the mass. Like, it is, marketing is so tough. I'm so tired of Snapchat versus TikTok versus, it's all too much noise. Yeah.
The consumer has grown in size.
There's more spending.
And there's more generations that we're covering as well. Like, boomers all the way down to teens.
Oh, and they're very different.
Yeah.
But you know what's really changed? The diversity of people at the same table for the same piece of pie. I think about the automotive industry, and the automotive industry is one I perform in, and I'm fortunate. I've got a fantastic online vertical that I don't have a lot of direct competition in, but I look at the automotive industry. You've got 56 brands in Australia right now. One has just pulled out. But coming through, there are like 10 or 20 or 30 new brands developing, new products, new technology. I mean, I probably really understated that then. How do all of those brands find enough market share and enough piece of the pie to make their business model viable? You do the same thing in any industry. You think about pet sitting. There are 3 or 4 marketplaces. There are, mass chains like the big franchise, big box brands, right down to these little niche, subscription in a box brands through to, it's just every industry has so much disruption, and that's because it's easier to start a business than ever before.
Exactly.
And everyone's so excited about starting business, and I encourage that. Like, I just think that's the reality of the world we live in, have a crack. Yeah. But, geez, it does make it more challenging.
Yeah, by 2035, 45% of the workforce are going to be contractors.
Yeah.
So
which is interesting. That's a really interesting discussion, just that one.
Yeah.
And plus, what about the migration to the cities? You've got mass migration to cities. We've got, fundamental issues around, regional countries, regional food, population, the whole thing. Like, how do these people find work when we're all going remote and we're all kind of working for companies but working for ourselves? How do we choose alliances in the way that we shop and that we buy? How does anyone sort of break through and make any meaningful, progress when there is so many challenges to get traction?
Well, one way is to build a brand on purpose, and if you do not have a purpose beyond profit, then you're not going to get cut through, especially with the millennials
Well, I even think the Z's.
Yes.
Yeah. Are we calling the Y's and the Z's the same thing these days? Whatever happened to the Y's? Where did you go?
No, X,
I think they became millennials.
Yeah, well, Z's are bundled into the millennials. They really are now.
The Z's care.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily representative of the whole marketplace. So
No.
whilst I very strongly, and I'm excited to see the rise of causality in commerce and certainly, businesses taking a much more proactive consideration around their impact and their purpose. And ultimately it almost gives you faith that we'll end up in a place that would privately make us all happy, but people are still buying the shit that we shouldn't be buying.
Yeah, because they have no choice.
No,
they have less choice.
I believe there's choice now.
But they have less choice.
I know.
Because the shift is only just happening.
I think sometimes the media can be a positive or negative impact.
Of course they can.
And there is lots of hype for lots of new technologies.
Yeah.
I'll use electric cars, for example.
Yeah.
But we need to do more to put our money where our mouth is as consumers.
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily address your first question, but I certainly think it's probably I wouldn't throw. So I'm a massive advocate for social change, but I wouldn't throw. You can't just turn around and go, oh look, if you've got a cause and you're an impact business, you're going to succeed. Because I don't think that's true.
And I wasn't suggesting that it was the only way to succeed, but.
It's definitely. It's good to have a cause.
It's very good. The other thing is the challenge between big business competing with small business. Like you say, it's easier now than ever to start a business. And
so there's two things on that. Big businesses are good at scaling. Yeah, they've experienced that. They've got the muscle as earned, if you like, or practiced.
Yeah.
Small businesses are good at innovating.
Yes.
And theoretically, they've both got a lot to offer each other, and finding that magic. And
so I wanted to shout out when you're on stage. So I believe the answer is more collaboration.
Yeah, totally.
More.
I think we are becoming more open to collaboration. I definitely think there's more funding going into innovation within corporate Australia, and there's more funding coming into innovation through government. It is behind where it should be, as a percentage of GDP and all the rest of it, but you can tell it's going that way. Whether it's being funded because of fear of being disrupted, or whether it's being funded to support, their own personal sort of journey of diversification. Everyone has the different triggers.
Yeah.
But there's more work to be done there.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good rant, and a good chat. Thanks very much, Eden.
Yeah,
always good chatting. See you guys soon.